Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the cognitive science behind effective learning. We're going to explore a method that uses a specific blend of videos, presentations, and quizzes, all designed based on how our brains are actually wired to learn faster and remember more. Let's dive in. So let me start with a question you've probably heard a million times, maybe even asked yourself. Are you a visual learner? Or maybe you think, nope, I'm definitely an auditory learner. It's a super common way to label ourselves, right? But what if I told you that whole idea might actually be holding you back? That's right. After decades of research, cognitive science is pretty clear on this one. The whole idea of learning styles is basically a myth. There's just no solid evidence that says teaching to one specific style actually helps anyone learn better. The real secret to learning is something way more powerful. And guess what? It works for everybody. So, if we're tossing out learning styles, what are we replacing it with? It's time to move beyond that old myth and talk about something called the multisensory advantage. This is all about using the way our brains were naturally built to soak up information. Multisensory learning is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's getting multiple senses in on the action. Think about it like this. When you learn something new, your brain creates a little path to that piece of information. But if you use your eyes, your ears, and your sense of touch, you're not just building one tiny path. You're building a whole network of superhighways, making it so much easier to find that info later. So here's how that works in the real world. Our videos and presentations, they create a really strong visual path. The audio and voiceover, that's your auditory path. And the physical act of taking notes or clicking through a quiz, that's a kinesthetic path. When you combine them all, you're building a memory network that's almost impossible to get lost in. Okay, so we've got multiple highways leading to our memories. Awesome. But how do we make sure the information traveling down those highways actually, sticks? The next piece of this puzzle is all about focus. I want you to picture the difference between a floodlight and a laser beam. A floodlight spreads its light everywhere, right? But it's weak and diluted. That's kind of like a long 2-hour study session where your attention is all over the place. A laser beam, though, it concentrates all its power on one tiny spot for a huge impact. That's what a short 5 or 6 minute burst of focused learning does. It works with your brain's natural ability to focus, not against it. And that is precisely why we use short videos. They are literally engineered to be that laser beam for your brain. They deliver this powerful, concentrated dose of knowledge that maximizes your attention and helps you avoid the burnout that always comes from that floodlight approach. So we've covered multiple senses and we've covered laser-like focus. Now let's talk about what is, without a doubt, the single most powerful learning strategy of them all. This is the big one. It's the difference between just being a passenger and actually getting in the driver's seat of your own learning. Come on, we've all done this. You reread your notes, you rewatch a video, and you think to yourself, yep, I know this stuff. That's called passive review. And what it does is create something called the illusion of mastery. You recognize the information, sure, but could you explain it from scratch? Active recall is the total opposite. It's about pulling that information out of your brain. It's harder, yeah, but it's what actually forges and strengthens those connections in your brain. And that's the key takeaway here. Active recall, or retrieval practice, is literally a workout for your brain. Every single time you force yourself to remember something without looking it up, you're flexing a mental muscle. You're making that memory stronger, tougher, and more durable. It's the real difference between just knowing of something and truly knowing it. So how do we actually do this? How can we put active recall into practice? Well, one of the absolute best ways is surprisingly old school, grabbing a pen and paper and taking notes by hand. Think about it. When you're typing, it's really easy to just become a stenographer, right? You just transcribe word for word without really thinking. But when you write by hand, you can't possibly keep up. You are forced to listen, to process what's important, and to summarize the key ideas in your own words. You're actively engaging with the material on a way deeper level. So we have all these powerful principles, right? We've got multisensory learning, we've got focused attention, and we have active recall. But their real power, their magic, is unlocked when they all work together as one cohesive system. Let's see how all these pieces fit together perfectly. So here's how it all comes together in a learning ecosystem. First, you watch the short video. That builds the initial visual and auditory foundation. Next, you read the presentation. This engages a totally different verbal pathway in your brain, reinforcing everything. And finally, you take the quiz. This is that critical step of active recall. It's your brain's gym session to really lock in that knowledge for good. So what does all this mean for you? Well, it means you have a clear, science-backed roadmap to follow. It's not about what kind of a learner you are. It's about becoming an active learner. Here it is, your 4-step plan. Number 1, observe. Give that video your full, focused, laser beam attention. 2, engage. Read the materials, think about them, connect the dots to what you already know. 3, create. Grab that pen and paper and take notes, putting the core ideas into your own words. And finally, number 4, test. Use that quiz to practice active recall and lock in what you've learned. And really, that's the whole point, isn't it? This isn't just about passing a test. By following this method, you're not just taking a course. You're adopting a scientifically backed learning strategy that's going to make you more productive and help you hold on to information for life. It's a toolkit that works with your brain, not against it. So the only question left is, what are you going to learn first?